Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brendan from Born Painting, and today we're going to talk about Catachan strategies and combos. So the first thing would be, what warlord trait are you going to take? This is probably going to be on your company commander in the middle, and it used to be that his trait was going to be Grand Strategist. That's what you just ran all the time because it was so good, getting tons of command points back. Unfortunately, with the recent FAQ, they changed the way that works. So now you can get one command point back during each game round instead of every time that you roll. So you're kind of limited. So what I've decided to take is the Old Grudges stratagem. That's where you pick an enemy model, and everything within 6 inches of that commander gets to reroll to wound when shooting your targeted enemy. If they've got some big nasty monster or vehicle, something like that, you just target it out, and then everything within 6 inches is going to reroll to wound. It's pretty good. And then the relic I give him is the Karov's Aquila. So even though you can't get as many command points back, getting some back throughout the game is still pretty good. I usually think of it as you get a couple command points back per game. You can actually get more than one during the pregame, but on average, you're probably just going to get a couple command points per game, which is still pretty good. So he's got the Karov's Aquila to do that. All right, so that's the company commander. He's pretty much an auto take in a guard army because he's so cheap. He does 2 orders per turn, and you can load him out like that. I'm sure there's other strategies with that as far as the warlord trait and the relic, but that's the way that I've found to use him. And my commander's got a shotgun just because it's cool. You can give him a bolter, you can give him a plasma pistol, which I don't know about that, but he's not really there for shooting. He's really there to buff everything around him, so might as well give him a shotgun. That looks cool. So that's my commander. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is the regimental ability. So I know there's a lot of cool regiments out there, Cadians, Valhallans, all that, but Catachan is where it's at for me. And so what the regiment ability does, there's 3 kind of points of this, which the first one is it gives all the infantry strength 4. So this just allows you to hit things in close combat just like everybody else. You don't completely suck in close combat, you're just not great. But strength 4 definitely helps, and this kind of leads into the first combo, which I'm going to talk about, which is the counter punch combo. You can take 2 elements that give you extra attacks. The first one is Colonel Ironhand Strachan. Ironhand Strachan is, he's an officer. He gives 2 orders, but his main thing is that he's got strength 7 and can hit hard in close combat, decently hard for a guardsman. And he gives all the models around him +1 attack. All the Imperial Guard models +1 attack around him. So you put him up there, and then you also do a priest. Now, the priest is only a 3-inch bubble, but he gives a 3-inch bubble of, again, +1 attack. Then you can do the stratagem called combined squads. You take 2 infantry squads, combine them together. Hopefully you gave the sergeants like a power sword. Well, not a power sword. Probably a power maul or a power axe to hit harder. You charge in with all that, and everybody's getting 2 attack or 3 attacks if you've got all of that going for you. So that's the counter punch combo. It's a decent like anti-infantry counter punch, and the Strachan's arm and your power mauls are, they can hurt some other like light vehicles and elite infantry, things like that. All right, so that's the counter punch. The next part of the regimental ability that you get, which is amazing, is every time a vehicle, a Catachan vehicle, is shooting a ranged weapon with a random number of shots, you can reroll the die to see how many shots you get. For example, a battle cannon, the first time it shoots, you can reroll that d6 number of shots. When it shoots again, guess what? You can reroll that Again, it's fantastic. So that is the vehicle ability. Then there's the officer ability. Any Catachan infantry squad that is within 6 inches of a Catachan officer gets +1 leadership. That's great. It's not game breaking, but it helps keeps your dudes on the table. You can always use the stratagem fight to the death. It's 1 CP, and it allows you to take your morale check on a D3 instead of a D6. Or if you're in dire straits, of course, you just spend 2 CP to do the stratagem to auto pass your morale and not care. So that's the regimental abilities. The next thing that's sort of an auto include in the Catachan army is Sergeant Harker. He's this guy here in the middle. He's got 3 wounds. He hits on 3s. But the main reason why you take him is of his ability. Harker's Hellraisers. He gives a 6-inch bubble, and all Catachan models and units within 6 inches of Harker get to reroll 1s to hit when shooting. This is vehicles. This is, heavy weapon squads. Anything, it's rerolling 1s to hit. And it's kind of like tacking on the Cadian ability onto Catachans, because Cadians, when they don't move, they reroll 1s to hit. So he does both. And not only that, he's got a giant heavy bolter. It's a special heavy bolter that's an assault weapon, and it has -2 AP instead of -1. So grab Harker. He's fantastic. Another thing that people are doing with Catachans right now is lots of Hellhounds. Now this is an old school Hellhound, so it's not quite the model. But the Forge World Artemia pattern Hellhound, it's got like this really skinny nozzle and this huge like fuel tank on the back. And the Artemia pattern Hellhound is really good. Its Inferno Cannon turret is 16 inches, and for the number of auto hits, it's 2d6, taking the highest, and you can reroll because of the Catachan ability. So it's probably going to be 5 or 6 hits. It's basically a heavy flamer, but it does 2 damage instead of 1. That's great, especially against Primaris. And then the best thing I think about it is when it explodes on a 4-up and instead of a 6, and it does D6 mortal wounds with a 6-inch radius. So you run this in there, you run 3 of them in there in their face, you burn things up with that Inferno Cannon, and then you try to make it explode onto as many enemy units as you can and do a bunch of mortal wounds. I don't run this, but I've seen it done, and it is very effective. That is the Hellhound combo. So that's kind of the general idea here with the strategies and combos. You want to go through and you want to learn what the different orders are and what the different stratagems are. For the orders, I like to do within a Catachan army is bring them down or bring it down. I like to take that mortar squad back there. It's kind of like a poor man's wyvern. Wyverns are so good at anti-infantry, but with the mortars, they're super cheap, and you can reroll 1s to hit, and you can reroll 1s to wound with that order, bring them down. So then with my tank battery back there that I've got, I take a tank commander because he hits on 3s, and he gives out an order I normally do, strike and shroud, allowing a layman Russ to fire and shoot at smoke launchers on the same turn. It's just fantastic. And with Harker, I don't worry too much about those plasmas dealing damage back on my tanks. So yeah, I just load them all up with battle cannons and plasma cannons and las cannons and go to town. Another thing that I've been running that I like is the Chimera, and I made it a Griffin pattern Chimera. I just stuck 2 heavy bolters into the turret, just so it's sort of like an anti-infantry Chimera. But the point of this is to get less drops. The less number of units that you deploy, the better chance you have of getting a +1 to go first and ultimately going first. So you put 2 characters and a squad in the Chimera, and you get 4 units on the table for 1 drop. So it's pretty fantastic. This army that you see here is what I'm running at the Michigan GT team tournament with my friend Chris. He's doing Imperial Knights. It'll be a fun like Guard Knights combo. It's very thematic, and it's based on power level. So I'm actually running my priest as an astropath because for Night Shroud, probably put it on my tank commander. And it's 1 power level just to round off the 55 power level for that. So I will make a video talking about the Michigan GT later this week. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, check me out. It's Born Painting on social media. You can commission me to paint your stuff, which I love to do. And I will talk to you later.